In the beginning, Kojima created Metal Gear, and in 1998, Konami released Metal Gear Solid, which popularized an entire genre and propelled Metal Gear into one of the most well-known franchises in gaming. This success caused the latest installment, Metal Gear Solid 4, to be one of the most anticipated titles of 2008. Did Metal Gear Solid 4 meet my expectations? No. It exceeded them. This game is freaking awesome. So with that said, let's begin. Metal Gear Solid 4, or MGS4 for short, is a stealth game. You play as Solid Snake, whose primary mission is to track down and kill Liquid Ocelot. As a stealth game, the goal is to get from point A to point B without being seen by the enemy. To aid you in your mission, you have Octo Camo, which is a suit that blends in with the surroundings automatically. How well you blend in with your environment is indicated by a percentage, similar to the camo gauge in Metal Gear Solid 3. You also get silenced weapons such as the tranquilizer gun and the operator to help you deal with enemies without creating a scene. You can also take out enemies silently with CQC maneuvers, another feature from MGS3. In addition, Snake can employ certain disguises, which can include anything from a rebel uniform to a cardboard box. You also get various gadgets to help you, such as the Solid Eye, which is like a radar that allows you to see enemy locations and their line of sight. Furthermore, you can toggle the Solid Eye into different modes, such as Scope and Night Vision. If you're a veteran of Metal Gear Solid, consider the Solid Eye to be a Soliton radar, Night Vision, infrared goggles, and binoculars in one single device. Another device is the Metal Gear Mark II, which is a small support robot that can go into stealth mode and scout up ahead, temporarily disable unsuspecting enemies, and other useful things. One final thing that helps Snake is the threat ring. When Snake is lying down or crouching, a ring appears around him. Nearby enemies are indicated by humps in the ring, with the location of the hump corresponding to the direction of the enemy relative to Snake's position, and the height of the hump corresponding to the distance between the enemy and Snake. The higher the hump, the closer the enemy. Think of it as sort of a warrior's instinct. If you are detected by the enemy, an alert phase will begin, where the enemy calls for backup and then attempts to kill you. In this situation, you have two options. You can stand your ground and fight, or you can run and hide. If you choose to flee, you must break the enemy's line of sight to begin exiting the alert phase. Once the alert phase is over, the evasion phase begins, where the enemy knows your general location but cannot see where you are. Once the evasion phase winds down, a caution phase begins, where the enemy is actively searching for you but is totally unaware of your position. If you choose to fight, the game offers a large plethora of weapons to use against your opponents. Everything from various pistols, shotguns, explosives, assault and sniper rifles, and heavy weaponry. More weapons than offered in any previous Metal Gear game. If you kill everyone aware of your presence, the alert phase is over. During an alert phase, you will experience combat stress. When your stress level gets too high, your psych meter will deplete, and when it depletes enough, your performance will suffer. Most weapons, when you pick them up, are ID locked and thus unusable, until you meet with Drebin, a gun launderer. For a fee, Drebin can unlock these newly acquired weapons. Transactions are conducted in Drebin points, which are typically acquired by picking up weapons that you already own. Drebin points can also be traded in for new guns, ammunition, and weapons upgrades. Metal Gear Solid 4, like MGS 1, 2, and 3 before it, is very cinematic, and about half the game is cutscenes and codec conversations which tell a very gripping and immersive story. The only catch is that the game references the previous games, MGS 1 through 3, very heavily, with minor references to the original two Metal Gear games that were released on the MSX, and you won't fully understand the story if you haven't played all the previous games. It's important to point out that Metal Gear is a saga spanning 7 games over 20 years, and MGS4 is simply the latest piece of this saga. If you own the previous games, I would highly encourage you to play them and have the story fresh in your mind before playing Metal Gear Solid 4. I myself did this after my first run-through and found it to be extremely helpful in understanding the story during my second playthrough. Metal Gear Solid 4 has somewhat of a different feel from its predecessors. Some areas are very intense, and it felt like I was playing Call of Duty 4 more so than a Metal Gear game. The previous games generally involved infiltrating large facilities patrolled by guards, but here you start off in the middle of a battle. The game itself is also broken up into 5 distinct acts, each which take place on different parts of the globe. This strays from the original formula, which involved for the most part a seamless progression through the game and where boss fights were the major milestones. Metal Gear Solid 4 has a lot of replay value. Guns acquired during previous playthroughs are carried over into future playthroughs. Traditional unlockables like stealth camouflage and the bandana are present, as well as new unlockables such as the solar gun. Accomplishments and unlockables are not tied to a certain difficulty level, meaning stealth camouflage can be earned on easy and used on any difficulty level. For the more ambitious gamer, there are 40 emblems you can acquire by finishing the game with various parameters such as number of kills, number of alert phases, time to completion, etc. Overall, Metal Gear Solid 4 does not disappoint. Great gameplay, great story, great presentation, great replay value, and as the first stellar exclusive for the PS3, Metal Gear Solid 4 gives the PlayStation 3 a much needed boost. That concludes this presentation. Peace out.